Beloved, listen carefully. Last night, in the stillness of sleep, I heard a voice not of man, but of God. And the message was clear: the hour is later than we think. The rapture is not centuries away, it is not decades away, it is only hours away. And you must decide, are you ready? I was shaken awake in my spirit as if a trumpet had sounded in the middle of the night. And the words I heard pierced me like fire. Tell them time is short. My coming is at the door. Those words thundered through me, not as a whisper of imagination, but as the alarm of heaven itself. Imagine being asleep in a house and suddenly smelling smoke, at first faint, but then stronger, until you realize the fire is not down the street, not in another city, but right there in your own home. That is what the Spirit impressed upon me. The danger is not distant, the urgency is not tomorrow, it is now. Every prophecy is aligning like gears in a great clock, and the hands are moving faster than our eyes can even follow. Look at the world wars breaking out like sparks on dry grass. Morality crumbling, truth mocked, and lawlessness celebrated. We stand in the days the prophets warned us about, when good would be called evil and evil good. It is the alarm of heaven, ringing louder and louder, yet many sleep through the sound. Just as Noah, in his generation, was commanded to build an ark when no drop of rain had ever fallen, he obeyed the voice of God while the world laughed. But the day came when the first drop fell, and then the flood waters rose, and the door of the ark was shut. The alarm had sounded, but only those who heeded it were saved. In the same way, beloved, the rapture is the ark of this generation, the lifeboat for the faithful in a storm that is about to engulf the earth. And if Noah could prepare for a flood that the world said was impossible, then how much more must we prepare for a promise Christ himself declared that he would come again in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. The alarm of heaven is not meant to scare us, but to awaken us, to shake us free from the chains of distraction, compromise, and delay. It is God's mercy to warn us before the trumpet sounds, because once it does, the time of preparation will be over. The question is not whether the alarm is real, it is whether we will awaken when it sounds. Look around you, beloved, and do not turn your eyes away, because the world is unraveling before our very sight. And to ignore it is to walk blindfolded into a storm. We live in a time when headlines read like the pages of prophecy, when chaos has become the language of nations, and morality has collapsed like a house built on sand. Every day we see what once shocked us become normal. What was once hidden in the shadows is now paraded in the streets with pride. And what our forefathers would never have tolerated is now taught to our children as truth. It is as though the world is standing on the edge of a cliff, leaning over with reckless abandon, laughing as the ground crumbles beneath its feet. I think of the Titanic, the so-called unsinkable ship, gliding through the icy waters of the Atlantic. While the band played and passengers danced, the captain received warnings of icebergs ahead. Yet he pressed on. And when the iceberg struck, the laughter turned to terror and the music to screams, for it was too late to turn back. In the same way, this generation ignores the warnings of heaven, sailing in arrogance through the waters of sin, not realizing the collision is near. The Bible speaks of another world that ignored the warnings of God, the days of Lot, when the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah had become so corrupt, so consumed with immorality and violence, that judgment could no longer be delayed. Yet even then, God in his mercy sent angels to lead Lot and his family out before the fire fell. But Lot's wife, her heart still tied to the corruption she was leaving, looked back, and in that moment she lost everything. Beloved, we are living in a world that mirrors Sodom more than Jerusalem. And the fire of judgment will not wait forever. The state of the world is a flashing red light, a divine warning that the season is upon us. And just as the Titanic passengers wished for one more chance to escape, Just as Lot's wife longed for one more moment in the city she loved, countless souls today cling to the world while the trumpet of God draws near. But the wise will hear the warning, discern the times, and lift their eyes upward, for our redemption is closer than it has ever been. The greatest danger in this late hour is not the darkness of the world, but the sleep of the church. For a sleeping army cannot fight, and a slumbering bride cannot welcome her bridegroom. Think of a soldier on night watch, stationed at the gate of a city. His one assignment is to stay awake and alert, for the lives of all within depend on his vigilance. But if he grows weary, if his eyes grow heavy and he drifts into slumber, the enemy can enter unnoticed, and the city will be taken before the people even stir from their beds. In the same way, many who call themselves believers are nodding off, lulled by comfort, distracted by the noise of this world, and unaware that the enemy has already crept inside the gates. This is why the Spirit cries out, "Awake, you who sleep, strengthen what remains, purify your hearts." The time is not for half-hearted devotion or lukewarm faith, but for fire, for passion, for holiness. Consider the parable of the 10 virgins, who all went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 were wise, with lamps full of oil, and 5 were foolish, carrying lamps but no oil. When the cry rang out at midnight, "Behold, the bridegroom comes! Go out to meet him!" only those with oil were ready, and the others were left outside, pounding on the door, hearing the words, "I do not know you." The oil represents a living, burning relationship with God, not borrowed faith, not yesterday's prayers, but today's fire. Just as a soldier cannot afford to sleep while the enemy approaches, we cannot afford to play church, to live on borrowed light, or to delay repentance. Beloved, the Spirit is calling for a bride who is awake, clothed in righteousness, burning with first love, and watching for the return of her King. And just as a watchman must choose vigilance over slumber, so must we choose prayer over distraction, holiness over compromise, and obedience over delay. For when the trumpet sounds, there will be no time to trim the lamps or run for oil. The church that is awake will rise to meet him, but the church that sleeps will wake only to find that the moment has passed. If the trumpet were to sound this very night, in the stillness of your room, would you rise to meet the Lord in the air, or would you be left behind in the chaos that follows? This is not a question of religion or tradition, but of life and eternity, and it cuts deeper than anything else you will ever face. Imagine standing in an airport, ticket in hand, waiting for a flight, and when the boarding call is made, you step forward only to hear the agent say, "Your name is not on the list." No matter how close you came, no matter how much you wanted to board, without your name written, you will remain behind. And so it will be when the trumpet sounds. Only those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life will rise. This truth cannot be postponed, cannot be borrowed, cannot be faked. Salvation is not yesterday's memory or tomorrow's hope. It is a decision of this very moment. Jesus told us of a rich man who lived in luxury every day, clothed in purple, feasting without concern, while at his gate lay a poor man named Lazarus, covered in sores, longing for crumbs. When both died, the rich man found himself in torment, begging for one drop of water, one chance, one warning to send to his family, but it was too late. The chasm was fixed, the door was closed, and no second chance was given. Beloved, when God warns us that the rapture is only hours away, He is not giving us a date to calculate, but a warning to prepare. Hours in heaven's clock may pass like years on earth, or they may pass like minutes, but the message is clear: time is almost gone. Just as Noah could not wait until the first raindrop to enter the ark, just as Lot could not linger until the fire began to fall, so we cannot wait until the trumpet blasts to decide. The urgency of the hour is God's mercy, shaking us from complacency, calling us to be ready now. For when the trumpet sounds, there will be no time to run for oil, no time to cry out for mercy, no time to undo a lifetime of delay. The King is coming, and the only safe place to be is in His presence, clothed in His righteousness, ready to meet Him face to face. So I ask you, are you ready to see Him face to face? Ready to leave this world behind? Ready for the sound of the trumpet? Do not wait for another dream, another sign, another sermon. This is your moment. Fall on your knees. Surrender your heart. Lift your eyes. For the King is coming, and His coming is nearer than you can imagine. Beloved, the rapture is at the door. The hour is late. The time is now.